So, what is up, guys? I was talking to my girl recently, and I've been asking people around for YouTube video topics and ideas, and she came up with a really good one for me, and that is to talk about my high school experience because it is very trans related and is a very bad experience, but I think would help to share. So, what I'm gonna do is in this video go through my whole schooling experience. So this may be a pretty lengthy video, I'm not gonna lie to you. But anyways, I'm gonna try to make it short and sweet with the elementary and middle school. Elementary school, I had tons of friends. I was a very outgoing child, even though I was autistic. My mom didn't know at the time that I was autistic because there wasn't enough awareness around it when I was little. But now that she reflects back, she knows that I was autistic. But anyways, so schooling experience. Even though I was autistic, I had a lot of friends growing up through elementary to middle school. To 8th grade, I had tons of friends. I was always the person to be friends with everyone. So my elementary school experience was great. Of course, I was born female. You know that. This is what this whole channel is about. So I had the female experience in elementary and middle school. And I'm not gonna lie, I got very depressed in the end of middle school from like 7th to 8th grade because I knew I was trans. That's when I discovered I was trans, and it just depressed me. Like, I had this one girl who would always bully me. Like, when I grew up, my elementary school was predominantly black, so I got made fun of for having mostly white friends. But once I moved different districts, it was predominantly white, and I was one of the only colored students in my class. So I then got made fun of for being black and bullied for being black. On top of that, I got bullied a lot by this one girl who constantly was telling me, like, asking me, like, in a very, like, smart-ass tone, like, do you hate your life? Are you sad? Are you depressed? Like, it was very annoying, and to this day, I do not like this woman. I don't even know her, but, like, I will never forgive her for that stuff because that was a time where I was very suicidal. And I went through a bad depression during middle school and suicidal tendencies and addiction and different stuff like that. So, like, 'cause that's when my addiction started, was the end of middle school, beginning of high school. Anyways, it wasn't real heavy in middle school or high school, but it started heavy after high school. But I did have a little bit of a dependency on different things. So, anyways, middle school, elementary school were fine. I got bullied in middle school quite a bit, for being black, for being quiet, for being depressed. But when I went to high school, 9th grade, I went to a place called Struthers High. It's a predominantly white school that I got bullied. I went to in middle school before that, in 8th grade, 7th grade, and 6th grade. Predominantly white, still got bullied for being black quite a bit in the high school. I honestly only made it until September, let me see, August, September, October, and November, till November. And what had happened was, I was sitting in science class with a female that was somewhat my friend, but she had all her cool, preppy friends with her in science class at the end of the day, and it was none of my friends. So, like, I was that kid always giving people answers, so I was giving people answers to the work we were doing in science class, and I hear her say something about niggers, and so I look back at her like she's fucking crazy. And then shortly after, maybe 5 minutes after, I feel a ruler tapped me in the back of the neck. And she laughed and she said, quote unquote, ha ha ha, this is my nigger beater. And I was gonna kill this woman, not gonna lie. But, you know, I was still not on T, so I was a very sad, passive person. I was a very big pacifist. So, I just got up and moved seats and never went back to that school again. Never went back to that school again. Actually, I did go back one day, and her friends were looking for the person who snitched on her to beat them up and jump them. So I didn't end up going back after that second day. Well, that first day after it happened. They switched my science class, but it didn't help. So after that, I still wanted to pursue my high school diploma. I didn't want to drop out. I was only in 9th grade. I couldn't. You could drop out in 10th. So you could drop out your sophomore year. I went to a school that was mostly online, but it was back in my old neighborhood where it's predominantly black and Christian. Now, I had discovered in middle school that I was trans, and this time I took in 9th grade between going to Struthers and then going to this online school, I went to like all online classes. It didn't work. It was terrible. But during those online classes, I started to transition into male. So by the time I got into this facility that was online to help you with your high school diploma, I was already living as a stud, basically. I was a trans male, identified as male, but it was easier to tell people that I was a stud because I still looked female and was not on testosterone. When it came time to start testosterone, up until that time, they absolutely loved me at that school. They loved me, my teachers loved me, I was a favorite student. And then I broke it to them that I was ready to start testosterone and I would like to be respected as my chosen name, which was Noah at the time. They absolutely refused to call me he. I understand the bathroom part, I guess, but they wouldn't let me use the male's bathroom. They wouldn't call me Noah or any other male names. They would said they have to call me my legal name. I remember talking to the guidance counselor, and she told me that if I was to use the male's restroom, I might get raped. And as a 16-year-old, being told this is kind of like shocking, but like it's not something you say to a 16-year-old in a guidance counselor session. Like, it was a session because I had been having a bad day because I had come out as trans to my mom and she was having a rough time with it. Anyways, she just told me that I would get raped, I would get beaten, all this stuff if I use a male's restroom, so it's not plausible. I also had another session with her because my mom had been having a hard morning with me being trans, because she did have a hard time with it at first. She lost a daughter. I understand that part. She didn't lose me, and she needs to understand that, and I hope she does now, but she lost her daughter, and I get that. So she was having a hard time that morning and that night. So I went to my guidance counselor, and we talked about a couple things. We got into everything. You want to transition, and she just flat out said, like, what happened to you? I'm like, what? What happened to me? What do you mean, what happened to me? She said, to make you this way, like, basically. She assumed that I had been raped, molested, or beaten as a child, or been exposed to, like, sexual molestation or something like that. Like, she really thought that something happened to me that made me this way. Honestly, I've always been a boy. Always been a boy, ever since I can remember. I used to pray to God to make me a boy. So she is dead ass wrong. I had a good childhood. Even though I was bullied, my mom made sure my childhood was amazing, and it was. So I was very offended for me and for my family and for my mother, that she would assume something happened to me to make me this way. This is just who I am. It's a piece of me. It's not all of who I am. It doesn't mean that there are things wrong with my life. It just means that I am who I am. So I walked out of her session. And then I got talked to by the administrator of the school, who is the principal. But she told me, I advise you not to start testosterone. It's going to mess up your studies. It's going to mess up your everything. And you know what actually messed up my studies? Was them not accepting me, because I stopped going to school. And in Ohio, you have to be 19 to get your GED. Or you have to get an age waiver signed by your administrator or principal of your school to waive your age to get your GED early. I fought this administrator from the time I was 17 till the time I was 18 to get this waiver signed. And I finally wrote a letter to her, because we had been going back and forth for months through truancy court, and I just told them the same thing. I don't feel comfortable being there. I'm not going to be somewhere that I don't feel welcomed or comfortable. And you guys cannot do shit about it. Like, my mom might get in trouble, but I have a good reason, and you guys could just keep bringing me in truancy court. I don't care. Like, I'm gonna drop out. I'm gonna get my GED when I can. So I finally wrote a letter to this administrator. This letter explained that she told me to get an age waiver signed, you must be pregnant, you must have an illness or death in the family to make it so where you have to take care of somebody, so you need to get your GED or something life-changing. I explained to her that even though this is not a life-changing thing to her, this was a life-changing thing to me. This was just equally as... This had an equal impact to me as a death or illness or a pregnancy. This was a big change in my life, and I was being held back, and it hurt my soul to be somebody I was not, and to not be able to be that. And I told her that. I said, you might not understand, but this is an emergency situation. This is a life-changing situation. You just don't understand it because you know nothing about trans issues. But that letter made her sign my age waiver at 18. So I fought this lady for 2 years. But I got my age waiver signed, and I got my GED in 2014 when my graduating class graduated. So I'm proud of myself. I still got the goal accomplished. I didn't get my diploma, but I got my GED the same year that my high school class graduated. But I have some trauma, not gonna lie, from not being allowed to be who I want to be, so I hide myself a lot. And I guess the point of this is I got over that trauma by telling myself that everybody has different views. It's not right to impose your views on people's lives and to use those views to control people's lives, but everybody is entitled to their own opinions. So them not calling me whatever I wanted them to call me, or he or whatever, I get it. The bathroom, I get it. But they should have let me do what I want and have my freedom to start testosterone and not be criticizing me about it. Sirens, that's gonna go for a second. But anyways, basically I got out of that by just telling myself it's nothing personal. It's nothing personal. It is just a stuck in your ways type of person who doesn't understand. And a lot of people don't understand other people. So yeah, just the moral of this story is try to understand other people, it may be hard because you have your own things going on, but other people have their own things going on as well. And be kind, because to be honest, that girl in high school was terrible. Well, in middle school was terrible. The girl in high school who hit me with her nigger beater was terrible too, but the girl in middle school who used to ask me if I wanted to kill myself on the daily when I was upset, you know, that shit hurt. It damaged me. So, be kind to others. Be kind to yourself. Work for yourself. Work for those who love you. Work for those around you. And be your authentic self no matter what. Peace.